Hello everyone, this is Claudia from babusfa.com, and I'm here again with another shaker card, and this is probably the easiest one to make, and it consists out of a normal square or rectangle card and a window in front, and the window can be either circle or a square or a label or anything else, but that's the basics. You don't have to make frames or anything else, so let's get started. As always, I'm starting with the base card, and I really like this color of it's an autumny color, and I have a front panel and a back panel, and both of them will be cut at 5 and 3 3/4. Just that my front panel actually is made out of two colors, two pattern papers. You can use the same pattern paper. For this one I wanted to use two pattern papers, and I'm going to layer them together and then cut my window out of both of them, making sure that everything is straight. And first I'm going to adhere the front panels together. Because I'm going to die cut that circle, I'm putting quite a liberal amount of glue on it. Now I'm going to position the window, and I'm going to make sure that the front panel is perfectly aligned with the back panel. You could possibly even make the back panel, the panel that is going to show through the window, smaller than the front panel, just to make sure that it will align, but I just made sure that they're exactly the same. So now I'm taking out my Cuttlebug, and I was looking for my circle die, couldn't find it, but it wasn't behind my Cuttlebug. So I'm going to position in the center, but a bit up, my window, and that's going to be my main window on which everything else happens, the shaker and everything. And I'm just putting that through the Cuttlebug. And also I don't need to cut a circle window of the acetate, I can just put a rectangle in and just eyeball it. Now one thing to do is, because I wanted to have something special inside, I'm tracing the window with my pencil, so I know exactly where to stamp my images. And I plan to use this nice gold embossing powder, and to use these three from the stamp sets from San Jose Stamp. I'm usually linking every thing I used, or at least similar things that I used, on my blog, so please go ahead and check all of that. But basically I'm stamping now in Versamark ink, and at first, because I need to see where I actually stamp, if you're stamping on a more of a white color cardstock, it's very hard to see where you stamped before, so the best thing is to already put your embossing powder on so you can see where the image is, and then stamp the rest of the images. And I'm just using a normal piece of paper. I don't have a container for my gold one because I don't use it that often. I think it's the first time I used it this year, so I just keep it in its original container. Now I have a tree, and I think I am going to stamp also the nice squirrel, and that's going to be the inside of my shaker. I didn't want anything too bold, but I still wanted something really subtle and really that makes it feel like autumn, and I think this gold embossing powder is perfect. I think this is a Ranger fine gold embossing powder, and it's really detailed and fun. I'm inking up the squirrel. I'm gonna stamp it there next to the tree, and I'm going to put it on the same color embossing powder as the tree. I planned to have more items on the card, but then I realized I didn't have enough room inside the shaker. And then I'm going to just hit it with my embossing tool until it becomes shiny and a bit raised. Because this is a fine embossing powder, it actually happens really fast, so you don't have to wait that much. Now, one thing I wanted to do is to erase the pencil lines that I did. I don't want to run the risk that it will show through the window. And then I'm going to distress just the edges of that circle with some brown ink, just to give it more definition. And I'm not worried about the really brown spots because they're not going to be seen behind that window. And this is how it's going to look like on the inside. Now what I have to do is eyeball a bit the acetate window and just cut it with my scissors, and then I'm going to adhere it inside. Running my glue all around the circle, and then I can adhere the acetate perfectly. Now I have a window, so my sequins won't escape. I was considering putting the leaf inside, but then I thought, no, maybe that's not the best idea. So what I'm doing now is adhering the back panel on my card. So I'm trying to align it very good. And then the front panel will just be on top, but just raised with the foam. I realize that most of this foam is actually quite wide, so I kind of always end up cutting it in half and using the two halves on each side. And on this card I also had to do a little bit of surgery that I didn't film because I forgot actually to put the powder all around the edges of this foam, and what happened was that all of my sequins kind of stuck to the sides and I couldn't see it, so I had to at the end peel off the front panel and put some powder all inside, and then put it back together. I'm using some Doodlebug sequences I have in my stash for like forever, years and years. I don't think they made them anymore, but they are very flat sequins and round, and they were in like 4 colors, like purple and green and everything, and I put some very small sequins that are also yellow inside. Now I'm peeling off the first layer, and then I'm going to have a second layer of foam on top of it. Just making sure my shaker is tall enough so that everything inside actually shakes and not gets trapped in between. You have to put on the inside parts as well, because those parts will be touched by the sequins as well, so they have to have kind of the same height. Now before I adhered it, I noticed that the upper part kind of you can see it through the window, so I took an X-Acto knife and cut that upper part out of the foam to make sure that, you know, the window sits perfectly there and nothing is outside. Then you're gonna adhere everything down, and kind of that's the basic of our shaker. Now all you have to do is embellish it with the sentiment and some other parts. I'm gonna use again a banner, and the sentiment for this one was, I think, so crazy about you. I'm using my Fisker stamp press to because it allows me to actually see where I'm positioning it, and I can stamp it perfectly there. And you have to put the powder on top of the surface where you're stamping with Versamark, and because otherwise your embossing powder that you're gonna put later on is going to stick everywhere and not just on the writing. So that's why I use the powder. It's kind of an anti-static remover. The banner, when you cut it, it also has these indentations where it can fold, so it's very easy to fold it. And I'm going to use just some normal foam squares to give it a bit of a push up. I had 2 extra leaves that I had to decide where to put them, on the upper side or the down side, and I just have to put some liquid glue on the corner there. Then I'm going to adhere the leaves. And as always, I'm going to put some twine, and I'm just gonna loop it around my fingers and then make a knot in between the 2 fingers, and this will make sure that I have the perfect bow. And because it's a twine, I'm just going to use some glossy accents to adhere it. In the end, I added some bling on my shaker on the outside. And then I call it a day. Alternatively, you can add, let's say, rhinestones all around the margin. You can do some dash lines if you wanted to basically embellish your shaker card as much as you want. So this was the 3rd shaker card, and again, like I said, the easiest one. It looks really cool, I think, and the background looks really nice. Now, if you liked it, please let me know. If you have any questions, also put them in the comments of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video.